Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I am Jason Whitlock, your host. Happy Friday. Thank you so much for joining me today. We have, when I say awesome show today, I think it's going to be awesome as long as I do my job. Steve Kim, TJ Moe, Butter will all be here to join me at some point, but we're going to start out smoking hot. You guys are going to put your thinking caps on. I'm going to take you down a path and a road on something important, talking about the sports world and Shohei Ohtani and Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and ESPN. This is going to be a journey that we're going to go on, and hopefully I'm going to do it in about 30 minutes, and then we'll get to Steve Kim, and he'll participate in the conversation, and we'll talk about some other things going on in the sports world. But I want to start with Shohei Ohtani and what he accomplished this season in Major League Baseball. It is incredible. I am not a huge baseball fan at all. I'm a very casual baseball fan and turned into an ambivalent baseball fan over the last 10 to 15 years since leaving Kansas City and, being tasked with covering the Kansas City Royals from time to time. I am a very casual baseball fan. But what Shohei Ohtani accomplished this season is incredible. It's an expression of true greatness. It's the kind of thing that as a sports fan, I marvel at. 50 home runs, 50 stolen bases, first time that's ever been done. No one even thought it was possible what he just accomplished. He's been in the GOAT conversation. Now he's really, really in the GOAT conversation, and people can have legitimate conversations about whether or not this guy is the modern iteration of Babe Ruth. Shohei Ohtani, he's a pitcher who's been injured this year, hasn't been pitching, focused on hitting. He's a designated hitter, and he's been that for the 6-7 years he's played in Major League Baseball. But this year, an incredible accomplishment that I don't think has received near the attention it should have. What he did last night in Miami, he went to bat 6 times, got hits all 6 times, 3 home runs, 2 doubles, 3 home runs, 2 doubles, and a single. It's unbelievable. Stole 2 bases. Drove in 10 runs, 10 RB. It's the greatest baseball game that's ever been played, and he did it in a game where the Dodgers clinch their playoff spot, and he moves into a club of one, 50-50. This march towards 50-50 has been going on, and casuals like myself, and look, I'm making an excuse. I'm a casual fan. But what Shohei Ohtani did should have captured the imagination, and there should have been a 2-month-long build-up to like, oh my God, this guy is going full Babe Ruth, and we need to focus all this attention on it and pick up casual fans like Jason Whitlock and others who have kind of checked out of baseball. This should have been a moment that brings all sports fans together in amazement, and we should all be standing at the water cooler, marveling at what we all witnessed and what Shohei Ohtani accomplished. That's what sports used to do. They used to bring us all together. Why don't they now? What's different? We don't have a gathering spot for sports fans. You know what used to be the gathering spot for sports fans? ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. I've lived long enough. And again, what Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa accomplished in 1998, that's nearly impossible to duplicate. It's the home run deal. It's Roger Maris. It's so much history that I'm not saying what Shohei did would have been a duplicate or a reincarnation of 1998, but it should have been more than what it was. And the reason it's not is because we've all been divided by ESPN intentionally. by the sports media world. People like myself, if there's not a live sporting event on, I'm committed to not watching ESPN. And so are many other people. We've all been fragmented. We've been sifted as wheat, as they talk about in the Bible. Sports fans, we've been divided. The thing that used to bring us all together, you throw out your political beliefs, you throw out your religious beliefs, you throw out skin color, and we'd all gather inside stadiums and arenas, around radios, around TVs, and we'd all root for athletic greatness. We did it with Michael Jordan. We've done it time and time again throughout history. We no longer do that because ESPN has divided us. My contention is, they destroyed the greatest Shohei on earth, what he just accomplished, should have brought us all together. They've diminished Caitlin Clark and what she's accomplishing, because there have been two incredible sports stories this year. I paid attention to one of them, what Caitlin Clark is doing for the WNBA. That's a choice I made. I hopped on board with Caitlin Clark a year and a half, 2 years ago at Iowa, and decided to continue the ride into the WNBA. But even that has been diminished because ESPN chooses to divide us. And so we have Shohei Ohtani and what he just accomplished. This is athletic greatness at the highest level. ESPN has spent the summer convincing us, or trying to persuade us into believing, Angel Reese getting 10 rebounds and 10 points a game and this double-double streak, that's a big deal. That's the incredible accomplishment. In my view, there has been far more attention on Angel Reese's double-double streak in the WNBA than Shohei Ohtani. And they did that to divide us because they wanted to diminish Caitlin Clark. This is what ESPN has done to us, and it irritates me today. And I know many people will sit there and say, oh man, I knew about Shohei Ohtani and you could have been paying attention to it. It was a great moment. It's not what it should have been. This is an incredible moment in sports, what Ohtani did last night and this season. We're unlikely to ever see it again, or it'll be a long, long time. This is what he did. The 50-50 deal is now what Roger Maris's 61 used to be in baseball. It's what Babe Ruth, was Babe Ruth 714? Yeah, Babe Ruth was 714 and Hank Aaron went to 715 in Atlanta. It's now the new standard. It's the new, oh my God, can someone do this? And we all should, my mother, casual sports fans, everybody should have been like, oh man, let me tune in and check out and see what's going on with Shohei Ohtani. But we don't have that collective gathering spot. Sports don't bring us together anymore. Sports media is intent on dividing us now. ESPN did that with its Embrace Debate movement. That's my reaction to Shohei Ohtani. That's my reaction to Caitlin Clark and why she can't seem to be celebrated and looked at in awe and not as a polarizing figure by half the country. She's some kind of polarizing figure. And it used to not be that way because we would have media organizations that understood that sports were a tool to bring us together, and we always celebrated what's best, what's best, instead of DEI, instead of, hey, we got to make sure we're sharing enough of the spotlight. We have to pretend that that Scottie Pippen is as good as Michael Jordan, or that let me give me a Rolando Blackman is as good as Magic Johnson, or some Kevin McHale is as good as Larry Bird. We have to pretend, because everything is about division and debate and embracing debate. ESPN did this to us. Instead of celebrating excellence, instead of using sports as a tool to bring us all together, where people would gather inside of stadiums and it didn't matter what color you were, and there was one national anthem played, and we all came together in moments of patriotism and just celebration of athletic greatness. We don't do that anymore. We play two national anthems, and ESPN justifies that and argues that it's appropriate because everything is about embracing debate. I'm going to walk you through the history of this and try to help you understand the importance of this. When you look at our country and why we're so divided, it is not remotely by accident, and it's not remotely by accident that they chose sports to turn it on upside down, to turn it on its ear, to make it the opposite of the way sports have traditionally been used in this country to bring us together. They have now intentionally used sports to tear us apart. That's how you tear down a country. That's how you get a popular presidential figure that half the country loves, but the other half of the country hates him so bad they want him assassinated. That's how we got here. Sports has played a major role. This division that's promoted in sports, taking away our belief that we can come together in awe of excellence, in awe of achievement, throwing out skin color and all the things, the surface level things that divide us. ESPN did that. Disney did that. Their purchase of ESPN in 1996. Let me take a beat and a pause, and I want to walk you through how we got here. And you'll start to figure out why I'm such a polarizing, reviled figure in the sports media world. And I'm not sharing this to make myself look good. I'm just going to explain things that you shouldn't explain. I'm going to reveal things that you shouldn't reveal if you want to remain in the good graces of the corporate media structure. If you want to make the most money, you shouldn't be telling people what I'm about to tell you, walk you through the history of how we got here and how everyone has participated in this. Give me one moment here while I take care of one of our great sponsors. And guys, you got me in the teleprompter and not the actual copy. I'm looking at myself. It's a second TV screen. I think we start with Patriot Mobile, I hope. I'm going to start with Patriot Mobile. Americans are tired and frustrated by a stalling economy, inflation, endless wars, and the relentless assault on our values. I own a Patriot Mobile phone. You guys know that I do. If you've been watching this show for any length of time, I'm not giving you advice that I haven't taken for myself. If we want to disrupt the radical left and their plot to divide us, we have to build a parallel economy, and we have to support organizations and businesses like Patriot Mobile that respect our values, that appreciate our values, that support our values, respect the values of our founding fathers. Glenn Story and his group at Patriot Mobile, they do that, and that's why I'm proud and pleased to be using a Patriot Mobile phone, because they support and believe in the things that I believe in. You guys need to hop on board as well. Go to patriotmobile.com/Jason or call 972-PATRIOT right now to get a free month when you use the offer code Jason. That's patriotmobile.com/Jason or call 972-PATRIOT for a free month of service today. Now, let me return to give you some insight into how we got here and why we're here. and because it's not just ESPN, but Disney bought ESPN in 1996, and at the time, Disney's reputation wasn't nearly as bad as it is now. But now, looking in retrospect and in hindsight, like, oh my God, what a force for evil Disney was, and we should not be surprised that Disney's takeover of ESPN has led to these secular values, this hostility towards Christian values. We should not be surprised about that. And ESPN, you guys have heard of, you hardcore sports fans have heard of Embrace Debate. That was brought on by ESPN. They had an executive there by the name of Jamie Horowitz. You've heard me talk about Jamie Horowitz before. He started, or he gets credit for starting First Take with Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless. Jamie Horowitz partnered, Skip Bayless was already there. They eventually landed on Stephen A. Smith. Here's a couple of guys that are willing to go on ESPN and play the role of the cranky white guy versus the cranky black guy, and they have polar opposite positions on everything. It's a gimmick, and they called it Embrace Debate. Two, Stephen A. certainly a clown. I got to give Skip some credit as a sports columnist. He was a noted sports columnist, talented writer, wrote some books, things like that. But Skip Bayless is a weird dude and is willing to take sports debate to a level and more serious and play a role and a gimmick for money that some people are like, nah, I ain't gonna do that. I'm a journalist. These two guys were willing to do whatever Jamie Horowitz wanted them to do because it's going to lead to riches and fame. And damn the consequences. Let's go all in on Embrace Debate. And what that does is throw out nuance, legitimate conversation. It throws out journalism. Now it's just a gimmick and a ploy. And what they really, what Embrace Debate really means is embrace division. And sports have never been about embracing division and reducing sports to an argument between sports fans as if that's what's at the heart of being a sports fan, arguing with your friend. That's not what sports have always been about. It's been a part of it, but what sports were about were promoting the ideas that made America great. Hard work, merit, teamwork, sacrifice, coming together despite our divisions and or differences. That's what sports were always about. ESPN, with the help of Jamie Horowitz, turned sports into, hey, let's embrace division, let's separate along racial lines, and let's have stupid arguments 24/7, 365. Sound familiar? Sound problematic? Do you understand how we got here? Do you understand the importance of American sports in terms of bringing us together and in terms of pushing the country forward? Have you ever heard of Jesse Owens and the 1936 Olympics and how the entire American culture and citizenship all jump behind Jesse Owens? Goes over to Germany, puts on this performance in front of Adolf Hitler. The 1936 Berlin Olympics, it was one of the first times America jumped behind supporting a black man, the entire country. And then 2 or 3 years later, Joe Louis is fighting Max Schmeling, a German boxer, and the whole American culture jumps behind Joe Louis. Do you understand Jackie Robinson and going into Major League Baseball and how important that was for America's racial progress? Sports have always been a tool to bring us together. Sports, as you've heard me talk about on this show constantly, organized by the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Organized by the YMCA, the Young Men's Christian Association. That's who organized sports. And then I've talked to you about the CYO and the Catholic Youth Organization and how they promoted racial harmony through sports. This is what this has always been about. This is the foundation of sports. And they turned it into embrace division, embrace debate. ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports, instead of using sports as a tool to bring us together, they used it as a tool to tear us apart. Bob Iger, ESPN, Disney, Jamie Horowitz, the people that come from a worldview that Jesus Christ is not your Lord and Savior, that Christianity is actually evil. They used ESPN to promote division within all the country. And so we're sitting here today like, how did we get here? How did we get here to where Shohei Ohtani does something incredible and we're not all coming together and taking this in and sitting there in awe at the majesty of an athlete? Instead, it's more of a niche. And it's not Angel Reese and some rebounds and a bunch of blown layups is a bigger deal than Shohei Ohtani and Caitlin Clark with what she's doing. She's a polarizing figure in this new world where everybody has to take a side. And here's where I'm going when I say, like, this is why I'm not liked. And this is why I'm considered dangerous. This is why I went independent. I want to walk you through this bit of history, and I'm not doing this to embarrass anybody or people that I used to work with, people that I still respect. I'm just sharing the story about how the mentality of ESPN bleeds into other networks. When I was at FS1, Fox Sports 1, Rupert Murdoch's company, I fit in over there for a time because allegedly Fox Sports, Fox, Rupert Murdoch, allegedly they were conservative and tolerant of a biblical conservative worldview. Allegedly. But I eventually found out, like, nah, not as tolerant as you thought, Jason. That's not really what they do. It's not, Rupert Murdoch, Fox, they went a different direction. Tucker Carlson got kicked to the curb once he started talking about a biblical worldview and Jesus Christ. And so I think it was 2017, 2018, I'm at Fox Sports, and they come up with their slogan that similar to embrace debate. They came up with a slogan for FS1 called Pick a Side. And in real time, I'm not going to call any names, but the ad executive that came up with it, they were so proud, and they shot commercials for myself and Cowherd, for Nick Wright and Chris Carter, for Cowherd's show. Oh, Cowherd was with me. What other show am I? Oh, Skip and Shannon. They shot commercials. Pick a side. And they're asking the talent, when they come up with the ad campaign, they're, hey, what do y'all think? What do y'all think? And I keep telling them, I keep saying, because I'm an idiot, like, hey, man, I don't think this is the right messaging. I don't think this is consistent. Hey, I thought we were, Fox, and we're conservative, and, we get the traditions of sports, that sports are about bringing us together. Why are we doing a slogan separating people? Hey, you got to pick a side. And I kept questioning it the whole time. And eventually, all three shows, Skip and Shannon Undisputed, First Things First with Chris Carter and Nick Wright, and me and Cowherd would Speak for Yourself. We shoot these commercials, pick a side. I mean, they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, on these commercials. I want to play one of them. I'll play the one Whitlock and Cowherd, the one they made for us. Let's play SOT number 1.
ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? You start paying college athletes pretty soon. You want to pay Pee Wee football players?
If Pee Wee football generates $1 billion a year, yeah.
It's way too slippery a slope.
So they got a bunch of commercials like Pick a Side. And again, they've spent hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, I'm sure, on this ad campaign. And I'm telling them behind the scenes the entire time, hey, this isn't the right flex. This is ESPN level. This is just another way of saying embrace debate. I thought we were counter to ESPN. This doesn't celebrate the traditions of sports. This divides sports fans. The whole point of sports is like, hey, we all come together and we don't pick a side. We pick to celebrate these athletes. And yes, do I like the Kansas City Chiefs and someone else likes the Oakland Raiders or whatever? But yes, but pick a side. This isn't it. And I was like, hey, this is going to blow up in our face. And when they showed me the ads that they were doing with the New York Knicks along this pick a side, and they were doing these subway wraps. The New York subways are going to be wrapped in this pick a side marketing campaign, and it was the New York Knicks. It was like hopeful or hopeless. And I'm like, hey man, James Dolan's going to lose it. You're talking about going to New York subways and portraying the New York Knicks as hopeful or hopeless. James Dolan, the owner of the Knicks, is going to lose it, and he's going to be irate. You're going to make so many, this isn't worth it. You're going to make enemies of the actual teams that we're covering and talking about. The day that those subway ads started running, the very day that they ran, James Dolan and the Knicks exploded. And those subway wraps stopped almost instantaneously. That day, I believe, certainly by the next day. And the pick a side campaign dissipated and went away. And I share all that not to say, look how smart I am. I share it to say that ESPN baited its rivals into going down the exact same divisive path as ESPN. And I say that somewhat to say it's like, for me, and I knew at the time, like, hey man, there's even though I'm giving them good advice, there's danger here in giving them good advice. You don't want to call out your boss's mistakes in real time. They won't appreciate it. They'll end up disliking you for being right. And so it's just not worth it. And so I can remember I would talk to Cowherd about it. And I'd be like, hey man, this ad campaign. And Cowherd was more like, hey man, just pipe down. Let's just do the show. Let them be wrong. Just roll with it. He was right. Once it blew up in their face, no one came and said, man, Whitlock, man, you tried to warn us, thank you. No one did that. I just read him like, oh, that Negro over there, he's too smart. And I'm sorry for putting the Negro into it, but because it's not a racial thing. It's just more of that guy thinks he's smarter than us, and he just needs to, and I'm telling you, and until today, I've never talked about this. This was all just behind the scenes conversation and with people at FS1. But when I sit here today and try to figure out how we got to a place where two of the greatest sports stories in my lifetime, Shohei Ohtani going 50 for 50, and Caitlin Clark, a one-woman army making the WNBA relevant after 27 years of irrelevancy. These things aren't being celebrated enough. They've been turned into debates and polarizing issues, Caitlin Clark has, and they've pretended like Angel Reese is on the same level as Shohei Ohtani and Caitlin Clark. This is all by design. Everything's pick a side. There's two sides to everything. Don't just celebrate Patrick Mahomes' greatness. Talk about how he's overcome so much racism. And pit Patrick Mahomes against the racist ownership and coaches that don't like him and are reluctantly paying him $500 million. And this is what pick a side does. You start looking for an idiot position to take to be counter to the truth that's standing right before your eyes. Shohei Ohtani is amazing and incredible. Caitlin Clark, amazing and incredible. Sports fans used to just like, we would jump behind greatness no matter how it was packaged, no matter what it looked like. The WNBA, do we have the tweet that the WNBA put out promoting their playoffs? I want to, they show a star from all 8 teams. I looked at this morning, and they're talking all the WNBA players are going to be lit. And I'm like, hold on, someone's missing it. I couldn't figure it out. I was like, this seems odd. And I kept looking. I was like, well, Caitlin Clark's got it. Did they miss the Indiana Fever? But oh, no, they didn't. They used Kelsey Mitchell instead. There's one reason the WNBA playoffs are relevant. And the WNBA is ashamed and embarrassed by Caitlin Clark. And so they use Kelsey Mitchell because they're embarrassed. Caitlin Clark, their biggest star, the reason anybody's watching this, she's white and she's heterosexual, we're embarrassed. I mean, literally, you could disappear all 8 of them and just say, hey, the WNBA playoffs are coming. Here's a big picture of Caitlin Clark. And you're going to draw far more interest from that than the display they put out there. And I like Kelsey Mitchell, love Kelsey Mitchell. But what are we doing here? And we're doing it out of DEI. Sports they've ruined it. They just don't bring us together anymore. It's intentional. Sports are so critical to American culture. You have to promote division within sports to promote division within America. You have to normalize division. You have to make everybody believe that these superficial skin color differences, this difference in melanin, is a reason to hate or love or what. I'm sitting here just sad that young kids won't experience what many of us of my generation did experience. There were so many everybody loves to talk about all the injustices, but there have been so many great moments. The Miracle on Ice, I can remember how I felt, and there were no black hockey players on that team. It was America, and we just came together, and it was incredible. We beat the Soviets in hockey, and it didn't matter what color you were. It was just great. It was America. And I look at kids today, they're not going to experience that kind of unity. They go to major sporting events, and they play 2 different national anthems. Sports have been the tool to bring us together, and now they've turned it into one of the most divisive places on the planet. Pick a side, embrace division, embrace debate. It's intentional. And the Christian in me knows what it's about. The people that can't stand Jesus Christ want us divided. Do with that what you will. But those are the facts. I'm going to bring Steve Kim into this conversation about Shohei Ohtani and some of this other stuff. We'll have TJ Moe on at the end of the show. He'll talk a little bit about this and a little bit about Tony Dungy. But before I do all that, I want to talk to you about a device I'm using, Lumen. It's the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's a device that measures your metabolism through your breath. And on the app, it lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs and gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workout, sleep, and even stress management. All you have to do is breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning, and you'll know what's going on with your metabolism, whether you're burning mostly fats or carbs. Then Lumen gives you a personalized nutrition plan for that day based on your measurements. You can also breathe into it before and after workouts and meals so you know exactly what's going on in your body in real time. And Lumen will give you tips to keep you on top of your health game. Your metabolism is your body's engine. It's how your body turns the foods you eat into fuel that keeps you going. Because your metabolism is at the center of everything your body does, optimal metabolic health translates to a bunch of benefits, including easier weight loss management, improved energy levels, better fitness results, better sleep, everything. Lumen gives you recommendations to improve your metabolic health. So if you want to take the next step in improving your health, go to lumen.me and use the code FEARLESS to get 15% off your Lumen. That is Lumen, LUMEN.ME. That's Mary Edward /fearless for 15% off. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring today's episode. I love my Lumen. I love you guys jumping on board with us here at Fearless. Thank you so much. Steve Kim, the Korean Cosell, next. Is it toasty in here? Don't miss a second of Fearless. We'll be right back, but check out this clip from an earlier show. Jamar Chase's outburst, embarrassing, costly, made them have to eventually settle for a field goal on that drive. If he doesn't get it, I think they have a much better chance of continuing on and getting a touchdown. He wanted the hip drop tackle to be called and went after the refs, and people were why'd they even call it? The guy wouldn't leave the damn ref alone. And so the ref, to get him up off his back, and then Joe Burrow had to shove him. These guys, and losing their cool and losing their emotions, it just seems like there's more and more of it in all these professional sports as the athletes make more and more money, and they actually think they don't have to respect anybody. They think that being rich and famous gives them a level of special privileges. But I was very disappointed with Jamar Chase, and the Bengals shot themselves in the head yesterday. All right, welcome back. Time for the Korean Cosell, Steve Kim. Steve, I know you probably think I'm stereotyping you, bring you on to talk about Shohei Ohtani, but you actually played baseball as a kid growing up, so you're the perfect person to talk about Shohei. What do you make of my take that this isn't as big a deal as it could be if we still had old school ESPN and it was the gathering spot for all of sports fans? I think more people would have been in tune with what a remarkable accomplishment this is, where now it's a bit understated.
Yeah, I think there's certainly a case for it. And by the way, after last night, Sports Illustrated now has Shohei as the 88th most influential athlete in the world. So he is moving on up. I mean, it's like an Apple stock in 1999. Get on it early. But, you know, let's go back to 1998, Jason, when I still followed baseball pretty closely. I remember the day-to-day story the home run chase was between Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire. I mean, it absolutely engulfed the nation. And a guy would hit a home run, it'd be a 61st, maybe Sammy Sosa was at 57. And literally, it would be like a breaking story. Other sporting events would talk about it. General news would talk about it. And it dominated that summer all the way up until October when that season ended. And with the Ohtani story, I think it's really interesting that there is this agenda that since Ohtani does not fit a certain demographic profile, and to be fair, I think baseball is no longer the American passion. It might be its national pastime, but football now is our passion. And to give you credit, Caitlin Clark, that is a bigger story that has taken some of the inches from baseball in general. I think all of that has conspired to kind of mute this story just a little bit. I mean, what Shohei Ohtani has done, I would say this is the greatest contribution to Japanese American pop culture since Gung Ho with Gary Watanabe and Michael Keaton. What a movie that was. But, we've talked about Ohtani the last several months. I'd bring him up. And even Jay, let's be fair, even you were like, what? I don't know about that. I'd be like, Jason, he's kind of a big deal out here in LA. The ticket prices are going through the roof on a daily basis. When you give away his bobblehead, people are waiting for it like it's the newest release of Air Jordan. And let's throw ourselves under the bus. It's not like we were monitoring this at all before today. I think we all play a part in this to a certain degree, but ESPN, they are supposed to be the trendsetter in terms of what is the big sports story of that day.
Steve, you know very well if Shohei Ohtani was named Mookie Betts, this would have been a far, far bigger story.
Yes.
Mookie Betts is from right here in Nashville, Tennessee. And yeah, some of that is, hey, he's an American, blah, blah, blah. But sports fans used to stop for greatness. It didn't matter how it was packaged, didn't matter what color. We'd learn how to pronounce people's names. If it was greatness at this level, it would stop you in your tracks. And it's no different. That's what stopped. I've never liked the WNBA, and I'd watch a little women's college basketball at the end of the NCAA tournament, but Caitlin Clark stopped me in my tracks, and ESPN was a part of that. They kept putting Caitlin Clark. Occasionally when I would watch ESPN, I keep hearing about Caitlin Clark. I just didn't see the concerted effort as it relates to Shohei Ohtani. And then I just also think that it's impossible now because so many of us have just made a choice like, I'm trying to avoid ESPN other than the games. Steve Freeze. Butter, I know you're a baseball fan. Steve is frozen. I know you're a baseball fan and a former high school baseball player.
Yeah.
Am I right or wrong here?
I don't know. I kind of look at it like a foreign player and as much money as they've been spending on Major League Baseball and trying to grow the game and going to different parts of the country, not just in baseball, but all sports, you would think there would be more of a hype around it because they would want that kind of attention because of the world stage that it's on. So I haven't been following it. And
holy cow. And you got 2 kids to play baseball.
I know. I hear my kids talking about it, and I do feel like my love for baseball has diminished. I don't know if I put that all at the doorstep of ESPN, but I just think there's so many more things to entertain us. Baseball just doesn't carry the same weight as it used to.
Okay, it doesn't. But Butter, just what weight has the WNBA or women's basketball ever carried? And because of Caitlin Clark's greatness, it has our attention. So it doesn't. Okay, so baseball's not what it used to be. It's still baseball with an incredible history, and when someone challenges history or sets, like this is legitimate history that Shohei just did, as opposed to, hey, Angel Reese had 10 rebounds and 10 points last night, and it's the 13th time she's done it in a row. That's not history. That's a nice little accomplishment for someone who has the offensive basketball skills of a midget.
Is it the sexiest, record in Major League Baseball, 50-50? It's never been done, but it's stolen bases and home run. I don't know if it competes like where, Steve was talking about McGwire and Sosa. I don't know if it's on that level that moves the needle as much as some other records.
You're right from a historical perspective, but they've so damaged the home run record, McGwire and Sosa, and the steroid use, and which ended up diminishing Roger Maris. This is the new, I'm telling you, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 50-50, in my view, will be talked about the way 61 was talked about for Roger Maris. And so it's like a new slice of history has been written that now has a significance that 714 used to carry. And literally it's easier for me, and hopefully you can bail me out here. I know 714. I don't even know where Hank Aaron left that record. If it's 748, 7:53. I don't, off the top of my head, I can't call it. But this 50-50 thing, I just think 20, 30 years from now, we'll be talking about it and how no one's ever challenged it. And just think, this guy's a pitcher. He's probably a better pitcher than he is a batter. This is, it's a mind-blowing accomplishment. As soon as I heard it yesterday, my mind was blown. And is Steve back yet? Because there's a couple things I want to talk with Steve about as it relates. As I'm going to move on off of that, and we'll get in TJ Moe at some point. But last night, I want to move to Aaron Rodgers and Robert Selah. And I found this whole thing incredibly relevant, eye-opening in terms of how two different angles tell two completely different stories. And so Aaron Rodgers and the Jets play a really strong game last night. They beat up the New England Patriots, who aren't any good, but Aaron Rodgers looks amazing. And after he scores, the Jets score their second touchdown and go up 14-0. Amazon shows you this exchange between Aaron Rodgers and the Jets head coach, Robert Selah. Let's watch this angle. And people all over the internet are going crazy, like, man, what is that? Look at Aaron Rodgers being a jerk. This is why he's the most annoying player in the NFL. That they just had that fan vote. That angle looks incredible. The Jets put out a longer version and show you from a sideline version of this exchange. Now let's play that, and it comes across completely different. It's Aaron Rodgers sticks his hand out, takes 2-3 steps before greeting Robert Selah, and now that angle's like, man, these are intense football players, and Aaron Rodgers is like, he's celebrating with his coach initially, and then he's encouraging him like, we ain't done yet, or something like that, or yeah, we got I think after the game they said they had the 2-score lead. Both of them said that. Steve, I think Steve is back. Steve, what these two different angles on this tell a completely different story. What did you think about the Robert Selah deal and Aaron Rodgers when you watched it the first time as opposed to getting the sideline angle? I don't hear Steve. You?
I know.
Yeah, I don't hear Steve. We're gonna. Steve, appreciate it. I think we may be done with Steve for today. I'm going to keep it moving. I want to show you guys something from Ryan Clark last night, and I'm going to connect it to something that went on with Eric Dyson. I hope that we have both clips. I'm looking at, here's Ryan Clark. Andrew Schultz was on a podcast with two black dudes. I forget the name of the podcast, but Andrew Schultz, a popular comedian, and they get to cracking jokes about the black girl effect or the black girl experience. Let's play that. Let's watch Andrew Schultz crack these jokes.
Really?
Yeah, Black girlfriend effect.
Yeah.
You're
into that.
Yeah. She came in.
What's the black girlfriend? If they just come in and start fighting?
Nah, bro. You guys don't know about black girlfriend effect. She just.
Wait, what is the black girlfriend effect?
You don't know about this?
Glow up the other culture.
Yeah, so you'll see a guy who's had a black girlfriend. All of a sudden, he's got buzz cut, clean shape up. Glows up, bro.
Yeah, I like that. They shave their hair because they start losing it. Because they're so stressed being around this black girl complaining about shit all the time. That's why they gotta shave their hair.
Nah, bro. White guys with black girlfriends, they
grow a beard
because
there's more cushion when they get slapped. Got it. That's hilarious. I think the black girlfriend effect. It might be a protective instinct, bro.
You think?
Protective. Yeah. Do you guys? Have you ever had black girlfriends?
Yeah.
Have you ever had white girls?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. What's your favorite?
We love them all.
Yeah.
Oh, really? We love them all.
Yeah.
That means white.
Yo, who gets
That means what?
Hey, let me do the UL translation.
Kendrick fans, get him! We love them all.
Yeah, that's royal English for white.
All right, so those guys, the two black dudes in particular, are getting trashed for laughing at Andrew Schultz's jokes. How dare someone crack jokes on black women? Now, if they had cracked jokes on white women and called them Karens and said they're the worst people on the planet, no one would complain. You can say whatever you want about a white woman. But black women, they're queens, and this is racist, and he can't be a comedian. He can't crack those jokes. And these two black guys need to be thrown out of the human race for laughing at clearly funny jokes. Ryan Clark at ESPN jumped on this bandwagon and put out this video castigating those two young men and simping for black women. Let's play the clip.
Black woman experience is black women caring so much about the nuclear black family, black women taking care of young black men to teach them how to be leaders, to teach them how to be strong, to teach them how to care about their God, about their family, and it's about their communities. And to raise their young black women to be independent enough to take care of themselves, but to understand how to support a family, how to support a man, while also understanding how to get it on your own. That's the black woman experience that I know.
And so there's a way you could say, hey, Ryan's talking about his wife and maybe the women in his life beyond that, but he went on to trash the other two guys for being there and for laughing and saying, Andrew Schultz needs stronger black men around him that would have put him in check. He's doing way too much, and I want to bring Michael Eric Dyson into this because there's this phoniness that black pundits, celebrities, talkers, that they love to embrace. This phoniness of, oh God, these black queens, and they love to make all these public proclamations, and it's all phony. And so does anybody remember a few weeks ago when Nancy Mase was on CNN, I believe, with Michael Eric Dyson, and Michael Eric Dyson got all upset with her because she didn't pronounce Kamala Harris's name properly, her first name. And this is racist, and you can't do this to black women, blah, blah, blah. And this thing went viral. And again, is it Kamala? And I'm saying that not to be dismissive, but she's got a hard name to pronounce. Nancy Mase didn't enunciate properly or whatever, but to call her racist over it, are you kidding me? It's just stupid. But it's dishonest and disingenuous. And Nancy Mase exposed Michael Eric Dyson yesterday in Congress. Let's play that clip.
I'd like to also enter into the record a screenshot of a text message I received from the esteemed professor from Vanderbilt, Michael Eric Dyson, after my CNN interview, begged me for photos. In this text, he says, after calling me racist on CNN, shh, don't tell anybody, we look good together, and sent me a kissy emoji.
Without
objection.
objection.
The guy says I'm gorgeous in all these photos. I don't think he's that bent out of shape on how anyone pronounces Kamala.
This is Michael Eric Dyson. Anybody that knows him knows his number one priority in life is to get inside as many panties as he possibly can. That's all he talks about. When he's not on camera, that's all he talks about is whose panties can he get into. Anybody that knows him knows that's his agenda. That the gimmick that he does on TV is just a tool to get him access to the panties of women. There will be no one, I don't know if it's true or not, but Michael Eric Dyson is somebody that's been paid by Jay-Z and written books for Jay-Z, and he's taught college courses for Jay-Z. No one will be shocked if Michael Eric Dyson attended some Diddy parties. No one will be shocked. Anybody that knows him, there will be, oh, I can't believe Michael Eric Dyson is the last guy I would expect to be at a Diddy party. No, he's the first guy you would expect to be at a Diddy party. And Michael Eric Dyson went to some seminary school, biblically trained allegedly. He's a phony. And he does all of his little protests and all this defense of black women. And I'm not going to let you talk about black women this way. It's all a gimmick to get into the panties of any woman, black, white, whatever. He's texting Nancy Mase, we look good together and blah, blah, blah. I mean, these people are frauds. And so this is what I would tell Ryan Clark, because I don't know Ryan Clark and don't know his history as well as I know things about Michael Eric Dyson. But when I see people on TV having this kind of dishonest conversation and, oh, I'm Captain Save a Black Woman and I'm going to speak, oh, black women this, black women that. I'm like, okay, what's your real agenda here? Because if everything's rock solid at home, you ain't got to get on TV and tell everybody how great black women are. Your wife knows it. Your mama knows it. Your daughters know it. So who are you really talking to? Who are you caping up for? Who do you want to see you as this great champion of black women? You put a ring on your wife. She knows it. She's got the ring. She's in the house with you. What's the performance for? Is it for her? Someone like me, and I'm 57, I've lived a long time, I've seen a lot. It makes me go, maybe that ain't for her. That's where my mind goes. Because I've been a depraved, hey, what can I say to get in the panties person? I know what that looks like, what it sounds like. So these guys are phony. A lot of this race stuff you see on TV, it's a gimmick. Michael Eric Dyson, you would think he was Malcolm X if you watched him on TV. But as he just showed Nancy Mase and everybody else, he don't want Betty Shabazz. He wants Becky Shabazz too, or he wants Becky and Betty Shabazz. He'll take a Karen. He'll take whatever he can get. These people are phonies. And all this virtue signaling they do on TV, none of them keep it real. Oh, let me put out this video and it's going to go viral. And my DMs are going to fill up with black women telling me, thank you. Oh, Ryan, that was so awesome what you said. And I wish you were there with Andrew Schultz. You would have put him in his place. I'm so moist right now just thinking about what you said, Ryan. What it sounds like to me. There's certain things you can say to make a woman moist. That's what that sounded like to me. Butter, I know you're married, and I don't want to drag you into this, but there are things you can say to make a woman moist, and that does that not sound...
I love it when you talk in this voice. It might have been safer for Andrew Schultz to say, you ain't black if you don't vote for me. Maybe that would have been better.
Much better. I'm going to bring TJ Moe into the conversation. Before I do that, I want to talk to you about my betting at home. And I'm really excited. We're making progress on my home renovation. I'm going to be moving into my new home, and I know what's moving with me. Cozy Earth. During an election year, we could all use a place that helps us de-stress and relax. Your home should be one of those things, and thanks to Cozy Earth, it is part of my routine and part of my de-stressing and part of my comfort. It's part of my sanctuary. Cozy Earth is all about helping you turn your home into a sanctuary, a place where you can escape the hustle and bustle of the daily life. And you have to understand the importance of finding comfort and peace inside your bed. Cozy Earth can help you do that. You can effortlessly create a space that feels like heaven with Cozy Earth sheets. They're amazing. All you have to do is simply visit cozyearth.com/fearless. Use the promo code fearless to enjoy up to 40% off. Feel the difference with Cozy Earth's best-selling bamboo sheets sets made from 100% premium viscose from bamboo. Upgrade your nights, transform your days with Cozy Earth. Visit cozyearth.com/fearless to enjoy up to 40% off. Use the promo code fearless at checkout. And after placing your order, select podcast in the survey and then select Fearless with Jason Whitlock for free socks. Transform your sleep. Stay cool with Cozy Earth. It makes a huge difference. I'm telling you, it's why, I'm a big dude. I don't sweat at night because I have Cozy Earth. You can have it too. Stick around. Just around the corner, we're going to bring in our guy, TJ Moe. We'll talk a little bit more about Shohei Ohtani and what ESPN has done, embracing division. And we'll talk a little bit about Tony Dungy. He's beefing over with Kamala Harris, Roland Martin, over abortion. Next. Don't miss a second of Fearless. We'll be right back, but check out this clip from an earlier show. What he's taking on at St. Bonaventure to be the general manager of a college basketball team in this era of name, image, and likeness, and what his real goal and agenda is. He wants to be a general manager of an NBA team. He's aware that at ESPN, journalists don't have near the influence they used to have. And that's why you hear Stephen A. talking in such somber tones, and that's why you have Stephen A. pretending as if Adrian Wojnarowski's career is tied to ESPN. It is not. Anybody that has been following, Adrian Wojnarowski was Adrian Wojnarowski as the NBA insider, ultimate insider, long before he ever got to ESPN. Adrian Wojnarowski made his name and his brand at Yahoo Sport. Going to ESPN, in my view, actually diminished Adrian Wojnarowski's brand. He's not good on TV. They had him doing something he wasn't good at. His brand was strongest when he was just Woj Bomb over at Yahoo, writing stories. He used to write very impactful stories. He's a hell of a journalist. All right, welcome back. Let's bring in our main man, TJ Moe. TJ, welcome back to the show. A couple things I want to talk to you about. The start of the show where I talked about Embrace Division and ESPN's history and purpose of entering, Disney entering the sports world was to promote the division that we're all living with today. I look at Shohei Ohtani, I look at Caitlin Clark. Neither one of them we're not celebrating them enough. And I think it's because we've been so divided and polarized racially by ESPN and the belief that there are two sides to everything, and if something's good, there must be something bad, and let's get on TV and talk about it, rather than, hey, let's marvel at what Shohei Ohtani accomplished, what Caitlin Clark accomplished. We're just embrace division, pick a side. This is all by design, and it's a part of tearing down this country.
Well, I think I agree with all that, and I could sit here and just agree with you, but that would be very boring. So let me give you the devil's advocate of why Shohei Ohtani may not be being celebrated the way that he would have been 20 years ago, 30 years ago. One, baseball has become a very regional sport. And there's a reason they have all these regional networks, Bally Sports Midwest and Bally Sports Southwest, all that. People just don't care on a national level. In fact, they're begging every year to get a Houston team and a New York team or an LA team and a Chicago team, because that's the only teams that people really care about outside of the Cardinals, who had, KMOX and half the country following them forever. That is one thing. Here's the second thing, and this part I actually really do believe, and it's not ESPN's fault, there is no sport that has suffered more from the advent of social media and the 30-second attention spans that we all have now than baseball. Baseball is a slow, miserable, boring sport. And you can't just sit there all day. I mean, look, in 2023, they finally, after years and years of talking about it, put in a pitch clock. And so when you can't get people to sit and watch it, everything is now right this second, social media highlights. When was the last time you saw, I know you probably don't spend a lot of time on TikTok and Instagram Reels, but you don't see baseball on there. This stuff's not interesting. It's like, okay, you got to hit a home run. That's not like a play that you'll see in the same way that you'd see, a 360 dunk or, a big hit back when we used to do big hits in football. And so I do think there's been a bit of a cultural shift that ESPN could just be going along with that would tell you, hey, Shohei Ohtani, aside from being a foreigner and aside from being in a really boring sport that people just don't care about, the attention span's not there.
So, baseball or women's basketball? What's more boring? What's played at a lower level?
Well, I don't know that lower level is a good barometer because, I think soccer is the most boring thing in the world, and that can be played at a very high level. So whether it's played at a high level or a low level is not necessarily indicative of my interest. I mean, there's really good ping pong players that I don't care anything about, right? I'm just not going to sit and watch. So whether you play the sport at a high level, not that interesting to me. I think women's basketball is incredibly boring, except for when one single person's playing. And it turns out that most people don't think that about Shohei Ohtani, or else he would be far more popular than he is. Caitlin Clark, the ratings, you couldn't ignore Caitlin Clark. You could not do it. It's not just ESPN. You were on this well before ESPN was. You were sitting here talking about it.
I wasn't. No.
Jace.
No. ESPN was on Caitlin Clark before me. TJ, I can go play you the clips from this show where I complained during her sophomore year or start of her junior year. Why is ESPN leading SportsCenter with some basketball player from Iowa? What are they doing? This is crazy. On this show, I ripped ESPN for
you don't think Shohei Ohtani?
Caitlin Clark.
Shohei Ohtani's on SportsCenter. They lead with him, and I'm saying that people didn't pick it up.
I'm saying there was a concerted effort by ESPN to make Caitlin Clark a star. They got her on my radar, and then I started looking, and boom. And I'm saying that Shohei Ohtani, I agree, baseball's boring. But I'm watching women miss breakaway layups. No one around. I'm watching them miss it, and I'm enjoying it because of Caitlin Clark. She's that, and Shohei Ohtani is the Caitlin Clark of sports. And I would say this, Caitlin Clark of baseball, Caitlin Clark isn't even reaching the level she could be reaching if ESPN were celebrating her properly. She's having incredible success in spite of all the headwind facing her. The WNBA is ashamed of Caitlin Clark. They're promoting their playoffs, not using her. They think that, we got to spread it around in DEI. If we give Asia Wilson some attention, and if we give this person some attention, it'll all be better and everybody will feel good. Do you think the NBA was ever sitting around going like, no, we got Michael Jordan over here, but we better make sure that Reggie Miller's happy. Is Reggie getting enough attention? No, they weren't thinking that. They promoted the playoffs with Michael Jordan. Everybody does that. You think when Tom Cruise is in a movie, they don't, hey, Jason Sudeikis, let's make him the front and center of this movie. No, it's Tom Cruise. I don't think anything. Yeah, go ahead.
Every word you just said,
ahead.
I agree. 100% agree with all that. The difference between Caitlin Clark and Shohei Ohtani is that Caitlin plays a team sport and Shohei Ohtani plays an individual sport. Baseball, while you're on the field with other people, no one helps you. It's you against the pitcher. That's it. And so Shohei's not making everybody else better. He's a DH. And then when when he's healthy and pitching, it's him one-on-one versus the other team. And then when he's batting, it's him one-on-one with the pitcher. You can't. Caitlin Clark makes the game fun to watch because she makes everybody else better. It is a radical transformation in what she's doing. Shohei Ohtani goes out there, hits a home run, and then he sits down for another 45 minutes.
Yeah. Caitlin Clark is involved in everything on the court. Defensive end, offensive end, her ability to make shots, create space for others. Her weakness on defense creates problems for others. Yeah, you can watch her at all times on the court as long as the camera cooperates with you. I get that. But baseball is a statistics-driven league and sport, and they could have tapped into that. This 50-50 thing is incredible, and they could have, if ESPN were, because part of what I'm talking about isn't just how they've handled Shohei Ohtani this year. It's what they've done to sports fans. They've driven so many of us away from them. We don't have the gathering spot that we used to have. It was like a Republican and a Democrat, a black and a white guy. We all went to ESPN to get our sports news. They don't have that power anymore because many of us are just like, I ain't watching that crap. And so that they don't have the power to create stars as easily as they used to because they've bought into so much racial division that they've turned off sports fans who actually came to sports to avoid the racial division.
I agree with that, which is, I think you're making my argument a little bit. That's why it took the people to catch on. They didn't make Caitlin Clark a star. The audience isn't there to make her a star. People saw she was unique. They tried it with several other girls prior to her, couldn't do it. Look, I'm telling you, I don't watch a lot of ESPN, but when I have, Shohei Ohtani is on the screen. They try. People don't care. I mean, there is something to that. 50-50 is nice. One, the home run is the only thing that people in a real way care about. People with really low ERAs. Bob Gibson could go out there and have a 1.12 ERA like he did again, and people would be like, that's amazing. But are you stopping to watch it? It's totally different than when everybody's on pins and needles waiting for Mark McGwire to hit number 70 in a home run race with Sammy Sosa. It's a different kind of deal. The long ball, chicks dig the long ball. Chicks don't dig the stolen base.
I would have tuned in to watch him steal 50 bases. I really do. And I'm not a baseball hardcore fan. Look, man, I've watched the media pour all this energy into making women's soccer a big deal. And they did it. They did it. Not as big a deal as it could have been if it had been the old days, but they did it. And women's soccer is, and Megan Rapinoe's out there too. I mean, you talk about something I just have a hard time wrapping my brain around. It's boring. Megan Rapinoe's out there. They all sitting around whining and complaining they're underpaid when they're actually overpaid. It makes my eyes and ears both bleed, but they did it. When they decide they want to make something a big deal, they could. Now, again, but it's less likely now because, again, I'm just crying about we don't have any place to go in America where we can all just come together. And I blame ESPN for ruining that. And it's intentional. And I'm saying if it were still, if it was less racially divisive, if there weren't idiots on ESPN accusing BYU students of being racist towards some volleyball player, I would be more apt to watch ESPN. But if there weren't people on ESPN talking about their C-sections in the middle of a football conversation, I would be more apt. They've just destroyed it for us. The actual fan base of sports, they've run us out, and they're creating a whole new audience of blue-haired, tatted up woke people that really don't care about sports, and all they really care about is using it as a tool to promote their agenda. That's why I'm irritated. But you've made a compelling argument, and I'm sure there's people in the chat, people in the comments that will agree with you, but I disagree. I want to move on to Tony Dungy. And I'll start with Kamala Harris. hold on. Before I do that, I got to take care of a tiny bit of business, something I'm really excited about. Alpine Gold, for the first time in human history, those of us looking for alternative currency, we got it. You can spend physical gold on small transactions such as a smoothie while using the same type of money for large transactions such as a home renovation, something I'm going through. You can do this thanks to Alpine Gold. It's a precious metal IRA. Alpine Gold offers gold leases that pay you in gold. Everyone is eligible to start with returns of up to 3.5% average per year. The Goldback is the world's first physical interchangeable gold money that is designed to accommodate even small transactions. Goldbacks do not need someone else's approval to spend, do not specify where they can be spent or what they can be spent on, and the Goldbacks are anonymous. To learn more about Goldbacks and Alpine Gold, visit alpinegold.com and use the promo code FEARLESS to receive free shipping on orders over $200. That's alpinegold.com and the promo code FEARLESS. Finally, TJ, final topic of today. Kamala Harris, Kamala, Michael Eric Dyson, he can correct me if I'm wrong there, and he can get women's panties moist. Kamala Harris tweeted out, one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and certainly Donald Trump, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. That's obviously her argument about you can be pro-abortion and a Christian. Tony Dungy, being a man, being logical, he sees it for what it is, and he retweets her or reposts her and puts up his comment, Dear Vice President Harris, I hear you make this statement all the time. Exactly what faith are you talking about when you say you don't have to abandon it to support abortion? Are you talking about the Christian faith that says all babies are made in the image of God, Genesis 1:26, that God places them in the womb, and that we should not take any life unjustly? Are you talking about that faith or some nebulous general faith that says we're good enough and smart enough to make our own decisions? What faith are you talking about? Great tweet from Tony Dungy. Glad to see him step out there. Of course, Rollo Martin, did I say that name right? Roland Martin, the beta male who wore the shirt, Vote Like a Black Woman, who got confronted by a young man in Chicago and wet his pants, the closeted influencer for the Democratic Party. He comes at Tony Dungy. Yes, at Tony Dungy. That is the same faith Kamala Harris is talking about. So, Tony, where are all the so-called pro-lifers when the cops gun down unarmed black men? Do their lives matter? Where are your pro-lifers when black women are dying, having children? I'll wait. Your thoughts, TJ?
Well, I noticed he didn't say that it should be okay. He's like, yeah, that's what they're talking about. Yes, we're murdering children, but what about these two things? And I did notice a difference between the two things that he listed and, of course, murdering an innocent child in the womb who is yet to open their eyes. We've discussed this ad nauseum, but I mean, you could and should at some point do an entire series on how many of these race hoaxes are just that, a hoax. How many George Floyd built on a lie. Michael Brown, built on a lie. Breonna Taylor, built on a lie. Virtually every last one of them built on a lie. And so, yes, you know, cops, by the way, are 18 times more likely to be killed by a black man than an unarmed black man is to be killed by a cop. But again, that would be behavioral. It doesn't have anything to do with being an innocent child in a womb. That would be behavioral. And I do want to go after this other one because L. Duncan just bloviated on ESPN while talking about Tua Tagovailoa about her C-section, as you just mentioned. And I'm so tired of hearing it because it's a lie. It's like black women are far more at risk during their pregnancy because they're obese at about 3 times the rate that white women are. because they have hypertension, high blood pressure that is caused by their diet, that is caused by drinking too much alcohol, not getting enough sleep, by sitting and having no activity. I'm telling you that there are a lot of factors.
Racism,
Yes.
TJ.
Yes.
Racism.
I mean, look, even down to gestational diabetes, it's all behavioral. And so you can get every last one of these things down to bad diets, inactivity, sitting. I actually read that. I can't believe this. This is self-reported to the NIH. 40% of black women say they do no physical activity at all. 40%. And then you turn around and you're like, hey, you know, these white nurses, they're just killing me on purpose. Meanwhile, white people are scared to death of being called racist. And so they sit around and, how could I help you? So maybe for a second, Roland Martin, you could look at the behavior of someone and think, you know, maybe we're dying because we're obese and we cause a lot of our own problems, and maybe blaming white people isn't going to save any more lives.
Butter, I'm going to give you the final say on this. TJ, I'm going to let you go because a lot of what TJ said was racist in my view, because just like yesterday, Butter, when I had Chick-fil-A brought here, you didn't eat any. I ate Chick-fil-A, and it was because of racism is why I ate the Chick-fil-A. And you sat there and watched me eat Chick-fil-A, didn't say a word, didn't try to stop me. It was your inner racism that allowed that to happen. It's not my fault. It's not my lack of self-control is why I ate the Chick-fil-A. And it was race. You don't like chicken because you're fried chicken in particular because you're racist.
It's a good point, and I sat there in amazement and watched you do what you do, for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm done being sarcastic. I'm done being stupid. I'm done for the week. And so I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll play some tomorrow, and we'll see you next week.
Freedom. Came like a fighter, striking like a ladder, making all this moves for freedom. I want freedom. No negotiation, my sister, no relation. We all just wanna have freedom. Sitting on a corner, never been alone. I'm breaking my back for freedom. Blessed, we are living, get back. We are receiving, all deceiving. We all wanna be free. We want freedom. I wanna be, I wanna be, I wanna be, I